Hey everybody, sorry it's been a little while since the last post. It's been a little crazy through the holiday seasons with traveling and stuff, but we're back and kind of leaving right where we left off. The last video was about 2-5-1 chord progressions and how to move them around, and it's one of the most widely used chord progressions, so super important. Today is a continued lesson on the same idea, but now looking at the counterpart to that 2-5-1, which is the minor 2-5-1, or sometimes just 2-5. You don't have to have the one. So if you haven't already checked out that video, definitely start there. That would be the first step. If you have, here we go. So the minor 2-5-1, unlike a regular standard major key, this comes from the harmonic minor scale or set of chords. So the chords that we use in a minor 2-5 are a little bit different. They sound a little different, but based on the same idea. Like when we did a 2-5-1 in the key of C, right? We had D minor or D minor 7, followed by G or G dominant 7, and then landing on the 1, which was C or C major 7. 2, 5, 1. In a minor 2-5-1, the 2 chord in this harmonic minor key is a minor 7 flat 5 chord, otherwise known as half diminished, some people like to call it. So you'd have a D minor 7 flat 5. And take a look at the chord shape for that if you're not familiar with it. You would now go to the 5 chord, which would be G dominant 7, just like before, at least in its simplest form. And then going to a C minor major 7 chord is the 1 chord in a harmonic minor key, which looks and sounds like this. Kind of spooky sounding chord. And now I played the regular G7 for that 5 chord. However, typically what happens here most of the time when you see these minor 2-5s is that 5 chord would actually be an altered chord with, let's say, a flat 13 or sharp 5 or flat 9, something like that. So for example, this is what you would usually see. You'd see D minor 7 flat 5 is your 2. Here's a G altered chord, in this case G7 sharp 5. You call it a flat 13 as well. And then that C minor major 7, which also has an exception here too, even though this is technically the chord that would be from this harmonic minor key as the 1 chord. It's very, very common to just play a regular minor chord there instead and have this. So we got minor 7 flat 5 for the 2, a G altered, and C minor 7. But if you want to use the C minor major 7, you could. So that's pretty much the main meat and potatoes behind the minor 2-5. So a couple of voicings to use, right? For the minor 7 flat 5, I was using this guy, which is based off this string. If we wanted to base it off the D on the low E string over here, this is a nice minor 7 flat 5 shape. Then we went to this G7 sharp 5, augmented, you could call it too. If we go to this G instead, cool different option to try out is this G7 flat 9, different altered chord. And if you've never heard that term, altered chord, it just means that we're adding in the extra tensions that aren't the typical ones. Like instead of adding in a 9, we add in a flat 9 or a sharp 9. Instead of adding in a 13, we put in a flat 13 or a sharp 5. So that's what the term altered means. We're putting in those altered tension notes that make it sound tense, almost uncomfortable, like it needs to land somewhere else and resolve. So those are cool altered versions for the G. And then for if you want to go to the 1 chord and do the true minor major 7 chord, here's one way. So that I'm barring this right here. However, some people would choose to do it that way and actually put their fingers there instead. So whether you do it with the bar or all the fingers, that would be the shape for this C minor major 7. Another C minor major 7 could be here, like so. So the A string is not being utilized here. So all together, here's one way, ending on a regular minor 7. Here's doing it up here with that flat 9 chord and the minor major 7. And then same thing going to a regular minor 7. Or this way if you're used to seeing it that way. So that's the idea behind a minor 2-5-1. It's the same idea, same root notes that we had when we did a regular 2-5-1, but we're changing that 2 chord to a minor 7 flat 5 chord. We're changing the 5 chord to either still a regular dominant chord or an altered dominant with like a flat 9 or a flat 13. And then the 1 chord, the true minor 1 chord, to stick with that harmonic minor sound, is a minor major 7 chord, but very typical to just turn it into a minor chord as well. A lot of songs do that most of the time. And just like we did with the other 2-5s when we played one, and then instead of resolving it, doing another 2-5, doing another 2-5, move randomly somewhere else. You can do the same thing with these minor 2-5s. Maybe resolve to a minor chord. And you can also, what's really cool is songs typically switch between the minor 2-5 and the regular 2-5s quite a bit. So you could do a regular one, you could do a minor one, a regular one, resolve, totally random. Minor, another minor, regular, regular, random minor, minor, regular. So if you get comfortable with the playground that is 2-5 or 2-5-1s, and you also have the minor 2-5s to add in with that, it just creates a very huge palette of key changes and never-ending chord changes across and up and down the fretboard. So really cool to play with, and good for chord practice if nothing else. And once you feel good about them, another subject that we'll tackle too is how to play over them, how to play a melody or a solo or something like that on top of those chords, because that's one of the trickiest things to do. It's not so bad once you have these chords figured out to move them around, but every time you do, you're changing keys. So to solo or improvise over constant key changes becomes, at least for me, what I believe to be one of the biggest challenges that exists on this instrument. But that is our lesson on the minor 2-5-1. Hope you liked the whole 2-part lesson series on these 2-5s.